quite the weekend we were expecting, unless we are back for your latest edition of the LAS Fan TV Weekend Update. Now, of course, it wasn't a game against Bulleen, it was a game against Bayside. And this is, of course, due to the recent lockdown Melbourne has experienced. Now, for our interstate international viewers, because of that, the past few games have been pushed back a little bit. So instead of being round 8 as expected, we're now round 11. Oh well, things will work out in the end at least. Now, before we get into the game, a couple of key points to bring to your attention going into the overview. We, of course, had the return of Acacia Sandhu from her injury. So, of course, welcome back, Acacia. Great seeing you back in the blue and white. Secondly, we had the arrival of a new signing in Naomi Chinema. I hope that was pronounced correctly. We certainly aren't a commentary team. Now, the match was a little bit delayed, in a bit of a comic fashion, and perhaps a bit typical of a, I wouldn't say lackluster, but vaguely lethargic return to play, which we had to wait a few minutes to have a net fixed, as it wasn't quite up to the ref standard. These things happen. So, of course, we were briefly treated to a little bit of air cricket from the girls. And may I say, it was indeed a smashing result. But on to the football, the true matter at hand. In our first half, there was very much one very, very big talking point, so let's get that out of the way first and foremost. And that was Molina's 30-minute hat-trick, give or take a minute or so. Quite a strong showing from Gaza last weekend. This also made it her second hat-trick against Bayside. So, up for 3 from 3, Molina. After all, it's only Bayside, isn't it? Only Bayside. Beyond that, not too much to talk about. Our front line was looking solid, with great efforts both from Lawson and Goff on the right and left wings respectively. Lawson perhaps a bit more successful in getting her balls into the box. Goff perhaps a bit more successful in getting the pace to get the ball up into the area. Nonetheless, both balanced out well enough. Beyond that, our midfield, pretty smooth sailing. Nothing too much to note there, if at all. Which is certainly a very positive sign when you don't have a thing to say. Our defence, looking also in equally fine form. Game, not too much to say beyond a very unusual strike from McCormick, who's normally down holding the back line. And this was from a set piece, so of course, get your strongest heads up, try and knock it in, and that's what McCormick was able to do. She was able to get up, score, and make it her first goal for the blue and white. As for the second half, again, not too much to talk about, purely because it was just a game that everything seemed to go well. And of course, it wasn't perfect, but that is largely irrelevant. If you saw the match and saw how we performed, we played as a team, everything flowed. Yes, there were breaks from Bayside where I thought, oh, shit, they might have us here. But no. It was all very, very smooth sailing. The only real difference from the first half was we had a bit more variety in terms of those getting on the score sheet. Now, while Lawson was able to add to a hat-trick, sorry, not Lawson, Ayres able to add to a hat-trick, we saw Lawson get on the score sheet, who opened scoring for the second half, with our 6th goal of the game. There was also a very strong effort from Melina Ayres not long after that. That was called offside, but nonetheless, she got there soon after in her first goal for the second half, adding to a already resounding hat-trick. Beyond that, not too much more to mention, aside from acknowledging Gary's 5th goal, Pickett making it 9, and Sandu polish off the game with goal number 10 for South Melbourne. Beyond that, very little note. Like I said, everything was very, very much smooth sailing and turning up South Melbourne, which is good to see. Very good to see. So, overall, a couple other key points to take away from the game. Of course, we're now 5 wins from 5. Very, very good for us indeed. The Eels are in spectacular form. And of course, fair amount of praise has to be given to the gaffer, Samuel Young. Whatever he's doing, it's working out alright, which is good to see. So for now, mate, if you're watching this, you still got your job. You still got your job. For now. Beyond that, we also had our first clean sheet of the game, and the first clean sheet from Melissa Barbieri in terms of her appearances. Our second choice keeper, Freya Crocker, in her minutes during a previous fixture. Gone blank which game it was, but she was brought on for about 20 minutes or so. She managed to keep a clean sheet for her appearance. Of course, the overall result was not. Beyond that, we're the first side to make double digits in a scoreline, so that's a very, very big up to our Hellas ladies. On top of that, we, of course, as might be expected, last weekend's winner of the UCA went to Melina Ayres, as well as being the second game against Bayside in which she's managed to score a hat-trick this season. It's also the second game in which she's managed to score herself a UCA in the process. Putting her very firmly ahead of our UCA standings, with our previous victors all on a solid 1. Very, very high class competition this season at South Melbourne in terms of our best on and off the pitch. So aside from that, that pretty much wraps up game number 2 against Bayside and our round 11 fixture. So on that note, let's take a wee squiz around the grounds. Now, also at the same time as us kick-off time, Heidelberg was hosting Calder at the Olympic Village. Perhaps a bit surprisingly for some, Heidelberg came up trumps by a nice 1-0 result. Box Hill hosted FA Emerging down at Wembley. Wembley anyway. They were defeated resoundingly 3-0 by Emerging. And Bulleen hosted Alamein, to which Bulleen had a very, very solid 5-0 victory on Monday night. Now, looking across to the table, as to be expected, South Melbourne remains first and foremost among all the competition on a resounding 21 points out of a possible 24. Very, very well done. In second, not far behind, we have FV Emerging, who have been a consistent competition all season. They're on 18 points. In third, having come up all the way from the rear, in their comeback of form, we have Bullying Lions also on 18 points, with a 12 goal difference to Emerging's 14 being the point of difference between the two sides. In fourth, we have Calder United on 15 points. Heidelberg come in fifth, and they also have a neutral goal difference of 0, nice and round there. In sixth, we've had the dropping Alamein on 10 points. They have a -5 goal difference. In seventh, we have Box Hill United with 3 points still from their sole victory this season and a -22 goal difference. And last, to be expected, we still have the ever-trying Bayside United with their -34 goal difference. And so, on that note, we look ahead to our round 12 fixtures, as 3 games we have been unable to play due to lockdown, that is rounds 8, 9 and 10, have been postponed until after round 18. So, for round 12, Calder United will be hosting FE Bullying Lions at Keilor Park Reserve from 3 p.m. on Saturday. Also on Saturday, with Alamein hosting FE Emerging at Knox from 3 p.m. From 3:15, you can catch Bayside United hosting Heidelberg United. And from 4 p.m, you can see South Melbourne host Box Hill United from Lakeside. Now, there's not too much of note here. What can be said beyond that is well done to everyone who's managed to get through lockdown. Congratulations to the girls on going straight back in there as if nothing had happened. And of course, to all of us who aren't able to make a presence at games due to present lockdown conditions, or at least the return to play conditions, it's a good thing we've got our live streams to enjoy, and it is quite likely that this weekend the Saturday games will remain streamed only. Otherwise, beyond all that, tonight our lads will be taking on their latest Cup challenge against Eastern Lions. Hopefully that should be a good result. And due to lockdown, Football Victoria will be hosting not only our fixture, but all their other remaining Cup fixtures, as we've seen from last night, such as Port Melbourne's game. Beyond that, that is it for now. Hopefully nothing too drastic will happen between now and Saturday. And until next time, come on Hellas.